Welcome, everyone. This is episode 73 of the Pickleball Effect podcast. I'm your host, Braydon.
And I'm Kyle.
Kyle, things have been going crazy for me this last couple weeks. So
Traveling madman.
Dude, so much travel. And to Florida, which is so far away.
We went to Austin too, right?
And I went to Austin before that. Anyways, we'll talk a little bit about that. But more trips coming. So part of our weekly update, talk about trips we got coming up. You got some personal updates. I'll give just couple of fun stuff I did while I was in Florida during that Racket X event. 3-0 to 5-0. This one's mine this week. Kyle's corner. Do we really only got one bullet?
I'll explain why. There's a lot going on in my life. I apologize. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Next week we'll have a lot more.
Okay. Well, we got the bullet there, and then Paddle Babble is pretty full. So I wanted to talk about one of the panels I attended at Racket X. That was this. It was a panel of brands plus UPA and USAP, and it just voiced some of the concerns that these entities are kind of battling with each other. It just made it more public than, past interactions they've had with each other. And so there's a couple things that they put into words that I hadn't quite articulated well, or it made sense in my head. And now I'm like, oh, okay, I can see why. I'll see a little more clearly what's going on there. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about John and I's panel that we did with PPL. So just the current state of testing. Again, learned a bunch of stuff here. We'll give a couple updates. I haven't been testing paddles just because I've been traveling, but we do have some paddle updates just on some other things there. And then anyways, we'll get with that. And then we'll finish with upcoming paddle releases. There's a handful of things that I'll share there.
The mail's been picking up lately.
Yeah, I got a bunch of packages while I was out.
Yeah, and
then we'll finish with Q&A. You got 4 really good questions as always. All right, weekly update. Starting with potential paddle or potential just upcoming trips you might be going to. So first one is Adidas. This is April 7th through 9th. We're pairing this one with some content with some of the other creators. The idea right now is like a podcast.
It was like host versus co-host, like MLP
style match that we'll film. And so we're all going to stay an extra day at the Adidas event to film that and play that. So that'll be really fun. We're thinking it'll be us, Studio, and Pursuit. Yeah. In that little matchup. But you're thinking maybe not.
Yeah, I might not be able to go. We'll see. Depends on if my situation with my children.
Yeah, well, keep me updated. Of course, we need you there.
I know. I know.
To round it out, we got to find a way.
But if not, we can get a fill in for me, and then we can rematch in 2 trips from now.
Yeah, yeah.
Where we will all be there.
Yeah. And then that one's early April, and then in early May, I might be doing a Selkirk factory tour.
Yeah, that's a cool invite.
Yeah, this will be interesting. So Selkirk has invested a ton of money in their lab that they have going there. Like they have a lot of the same equipment that PPL and Element is using for their testing. There's always some challenges with having everyone's stuff configured the exact same that I've kind of learned about this from this week, but they have the equipment. They're using the same stuff, which is pretty cool. I don't know if there's another in-house brand.
John's basement.
Besides John's basement. I think some factories have invested in some of that gear, but as far as like the brand itself, I'm not sure there's another one. Anyways, so might do a factory tour, which would be interesting. That's in Coeur d'Alene here in Idaho.
Yep. Cheap flight.
What is it? I mean, short flight, but even driving, that's like what, 6
hours. But the flight, I looked up the flight because I messaged Dakota and I was like, I can leave at 10 a.m. and be there at 10 a.m.
Leave at 10 a.m. Be there. Oh,
because it's an hour change. Yeah,
that's great.
And it's only like $120 round trip, so that's cheap flight for them to fly us up there.
Yeah. And then another fun one is the Nerdy Tourney. So Bread and Butter teased this in one of their videos earlier this week. This is going to be late May, early June. Tell us about that one.
So they're going to fly out 25, I think.
I didn't even know there was 25 paddle reviewer-y type people.
Well, it's not just, it's mainly paddle reviewers, but basically 25, let's say YouTubers. Personalities. Pickleball Will, Studio, Pursuit, that old guy Sleeves. I don't know if you were like the senior pickleball report guy.
Yeah, so great.
Like the hippie. Just a bunch of them. I'm sure I'd miss some, so I'm not even going to try and name them all off, but they're flying us all out there. There's going to be a tournament where it's not like me and you are going to play. Like there's going to be some way that we get mixed with partners. I don't know if it's going to be random or balanced or
I don't know how they're gonna do it yet.
So Doug was even talking about maybe whoever ends up with him gets like a handicap.
Doug could play,
but
he was telling me the other day he's been playing a lot more lately, and he thinks he's feeling the improvement, which is cool.
But anyway, so they're flying us out to Florida. They're putting us up at this like boutique hotel that's like on the beach, and we're just gonna play pickleball and have a good time.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. And as far as I can tell, the skill level is just
it's huge. It's a big range.
It's a very big range.
That's why I'm curious of how they're gonna pick partners.
I don't think I've ever participated in an event where it's so scattered.
It's like 3-5 to 5-2.
Yeah, I have no idea, but of the actual numbers, but it's pretty spread.
I bet you it's that spread. And
if they do random partner selections, it'll just be, I mean, that'll determine
it's all
the
for
winning
fun.
Right there.
I gave them some suggestions too of like when I played some softball tournaments that were like for fun, they had like a wheel that you would spin before the game and it would have some kind of handicap or advantage.
Oh, something like that. Oh, that'd be fun.
Where at least it makes it more like a fun, like you have to serve left-handed.
Some other element.
Yeah.
That beyond just the skill level.
Exactly.
I like that. Yeah, that would be cool.
Because it is for fun. And I even heard that the winner is going to get like a big like wrestling belt.
They did for their
but
then they do something like that.
Did they do the wrestling belt?
They did the paddle reviewer awards and the winner got this was a year.
I don't know if I saw that
ago.
one. That's funny.
This may have been before you were on the pod.
It probably was. I was just a trunk slammer.
You were a trunk slammer back then. Yeah, really pumped about that. That'll be a blast. I got Aaron coming to the one in Florida. I think he's gonna play too.
Yeah, he got like an official invite, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have him document that one and just do a vlog style for that whole event. I think that'll be a blast. Aaron might come to the Selkirk factory with me. He won't be for the Adidas launch. That one's in Austin. Last one here is 6-0 invited some people to apply for a trip to go visit their factory in China.
To apply for it?
Yes. So they sent it out to a bunch of people. They're only going to take 5.
Oh, okay.
So they're taking like applications is what they termed it. You have till the end of the month to say if you can go, why you want to go, what kind of content you would make and stuff. So yeah, at the moment, I think I'm going to apply for it. I mean, it just seems like a tough opportunity to pass up. It would be really educational to go to this.
Yeah, plus you're going to China.
Yeah, I mean,
where's my invite, Dale?
So that could be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll see if I can get into that one. And then we got you. You got the next 2 bullet points here.
Oh yeah, some life updates. Almost done moving, so I'm getting everything set up.
Dude, I feel like you've been saying that for the last 3, 4, or 5 weeks.
Actually, dude, moving's a process. Especially, I'm doing it alone.
You keep thinking you're there.
Well, I'm like doing it by myself, so it's like it's a lot slower than like having a bunch of people help you move. And I'm starting from scratch, so I'm like Facebook buying a couch and like setting up the place. So it's very close to being done. Everything is at the house now. I just have to like clean up the office a little bit, but I could actually shoot a remote pod there now. Like we could do it.
Oh, your next one would be there?
We could do it.
All right, cool. I think we're gonna do next week's with Aaron.
There you go. So I'll be good to go. So
we'll see the setup.
I'll have a new background.
You got 1 week to get that set up.
No pressure. I like it. And then just fitness wise, I started going to a gym across the street from Flying Pickle.
The VR one.
The VR gym.
And VR gym, dude. Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
So you walk in, I'll just explain it real quick. You like walk in, there's like all these like booths, and like you go into your booth and it has like a cable machine. And then you put these like wrist sensors on, and then you put on a headset, and then you're playing this game.
Is it your own headset? Or
yes.
No, everybody sharing a sweaty headset.
They are very clean and they sanitize everything, and they give you your own faceplates that you keep.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you put on this headset, and then you're like in this game that's like this arena that you're like battling people, and like the way you battle is like different exercises like squats and deadlifts and bench press, and this machine the whole time you're playing, this machine's like adjusting to whatever exercise you want to do.
Is it one of those wall ones?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's just a ton of fun, but I'm down 24 pounds.
24 pounds?
Yeah.
I want to be able to tell.
So,
just kidding.
You want to arm wrestle?
You look great.
You want to arm wrestle?
Dude, you would smoke me into anything strength related. Just messing.
It's been cool. I posted about it, and then one of my friends from Japan was like, "Hey, I tried that in San Francisco." Like they got a spot in San Francisco too. Yeah, but it's been cool.
Oh, nice. Okay, the way you explained it sounds much cooler than the way I imagined a VR gym would be in my head.
Oh, it's pretty fun. You should. I want to get everybody to find people to just go over there and try it once because it's pretty fun.
Well, good. I'm glad you found a good rhythm there. 24 pounds, dude. That's a big deal. Good for you.
Yeah, feels good. So pickleball felt great last week.
That was pretty quick, really.
1 month.
Yeah, geez. Nice. Nice.
So, yeah, let's hear about your next. I'm excited to hear about this next one.
Yeah, so last couple bullets here are just some fun things I did while I was in Florida. So last weekend when I did the podcast with John Q, I was in Austin. I was making some content with the guys at the lab. There's a couple of good videos I think are going to come out of that. Excited about that. But then I came home for 2 days, flew to Florida for the Racket X conference where John and I participated in a panel and just kind of hung out at this Racket X thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this was not just pickleball. It was racquetball. It was squash. It was padel. It was tennis. It was
just anything with a racket.
Just anything with a racket.
Table tennis too?
Yeah, they had table tennis.
Nice.
And so the setup of this conference is you walk in, it's a bunch of different booths, and then they have 2 stages where they're doing, what you call it, just panels and stuff.
So it's kind of like Comic-Con, but with rackets.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
So there's a ton of booths and vendors, but then behind the booths and vendors, they had a tennis court set up. They had a couple, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 padel courts. They had a couple of pickleball courts. So they had all the infrastructure for to play the sports while you're there and test or whatever. Anyway, so I have never seen a padel court in person. I've watched it. It looks really fun. And I got to play just one game. I played one game.
Doubles?
It was a set.
Doubles or
singles? Doubles. So John and I played a couple of guys from Florida, Graham, D'Amico. So we played him and one of his buddies. But dude, it was so fun. I really enjoyed the racket. The game's called padel or paddle. Some people call it paddle, but for some reason they call their paddles rackets. But
they're EVA foam.
They're all EVA foam, very squishy, really thick, just really heavy, dude. They just felt like tanks compared to.
Did you guys bring up graffiti
paddle.
and get the swing weight on one?
we should have.
Oh,
but anyways, we played and it was such a blast. It's like a mix between maybe more like tennis and racquetball. So you have some of the walls in play, not a lot of lobs. There's a lot, very different. I don't really know what the strategy is, but we were just hitting. And it was a really fun.
Would you play regularly if it was available?
I want to. If there was one close by, I'd go do it.
Yeah,
See if I could pick it up. There's nothing even close to here.
Nothing.
I looked it up. There's one maybe coming to Boise in 2026. They have a website for it, which would be sick.
We should get in on that as influencers for it.
Dude, we could. I don't know. But anyways, that was just a blast, and I want to play more, and I'm going to look for it whenever I'm traveling now because it was dope.
I'm jealous. I've wanted to try.
And then another cool thing I did while I was there is I went to the Miami Open. So this was a professional tennis event. I had never been to anything like this before, and the venue. So Miami Open, from what I understand, is one of the bigger events. So you have your 4 slams, and then you have one at Indian Wells that's pretty big. But then after that, you have Miami Open and maybe a couple others. So this is one of the more popular events. So Novak was there. All the top Americans were there. Anyways, all the big names, most of them were there. Not all of them. Like I don't think Alcaraz was there, but a lot of really good players. And we got tickets for being speakers. So
cool.
So John and I went Sunday night, and the venue. Think of PPA Worlds where you walk in, you have the outer courts, then you have the center court and some grandstands. It's that similar setup, but just
bigger,
10x.
Yeah,
it's just huge. These grandstands are just massive
and full.
And most it
wasn't full.
It wasn't, I mean, some were. It depended on the match. There was one match on grandstand that a lot of people wanted to see that was packed, but then we had stadium tickets. That stadium was just massive. I'm sure it fills up for the big names, but for the matches we saw, there was a good number of people there, but it wasn't packed. But the stadiums are just massive, and it was really fun. And I can see how people make that argument now, where tennis. I don't really play tennis. I'm familiar with it. I know some of the names, and I follow it some. But when you watch it live, it's very like wow, like you're amazed at what they're doing. Like they're just ripping these serves at 130 miles an hour, and it just looks really impressive. And so I can definitely see how tennis translates better to the viewers more so than pickleball does. I think pickleball, you have to understand the nuance,
Yes.
see what's going on, and you don't just immediately watch what they do and think, wow, I cannot do that. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas when I watch tennis, you're just, your floor, there's no way I can go out there and even touch the ball if I play with them, right? Anyways, that was a brand new experience. Never done anything like that. That was really cool. All right. 3 out of 5 This is my week, brought to you by Holy. This is our hydration partner. They launched their new flavors, and they have another new flavor coming. They've been on a roll with these. So it's another in-game flavor. We're both fans of the fruit punch and the lemonade. This new one, they don't want us to say it, but they have a new one coming, so be on look out for that.
If you buy the sample packs, they will include the new secret flavor in that sample pack.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, if you guys haven't tried their stuff yet, do the sample pack. It's a really good deal.
I think it's
I think
it's free. You just pay shipping.
You essentially just pay shipping. And anyways, go get them a shot.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Holy, I'll put a link in the description, and you can use the code PBEffect for any of their stuff, or go take advantage of their sample pack. That's a really good deal. All right, 3 out of 5. So I did the 2 days I was back between Austin and Florida. I recorded 2 Learning with Pros sessions. I did one with Agiga and then one with Kyle Kazuda.
Okay.
Both of them were really good. And the one with Kyle Kazuda in particular was really, really good.
You said that was like the best one you've ever done.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it. Did you post it yet?
No, I'm going to post it later this week. So if you don't know who Kyle Kazuda is, has about 100,000 subscribers
probably
on his YouTube channel. It's an instructional YouTube channel. And then he's just launched he calls it That Pickleball School.
Okay.
Because his channel's That Pickleball Guy. So anybody could go sign up right now. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go check it out. But it's all of his stuff just formatted into a way that's easy to follow, understand, and it's just always on. The Jordan Briones one I had talked about before, he just kind of turns it on and off depending on what he has going on. So this one's just always on. Anybody can go join. But a couple of things I like about what he's doing with this school is he calls it principle-based. So I just got access to it a couple weeks ago, and I've gone through a handful of videos, and his approach is less technical than a lot of people's, and he calls it more principle-based. So he'll teach you the ins and outs of the game, what patterns are. Like, you hear the term patterns everywhere, but it's like, what does that mean? He literally tells you, these are 20 patterns that I look for and pay attention to. And he's adding, different patterns. They have like a pattern library. Anyways, he goes through this principle-based approach where you learn, how to move and play, and less focus on technique.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take these principles, apply them to your game, your situation, and it's not these road experiences. And so it's a refreshing approach. He did a really good job with it. It's really cool. Anyways, I do this thing with him, and he's a coach, right? And so coaches can pull out different things, I think, better than the average Joe. Like, if you and I, we can play well, but if we go watch a film, even some pros, they go watch film, they don't break it apart as well as they know how to, because they just aren't ingrained in that. But Kyle's just ingrained in that. And the very first point I showed him, it took us 5-6 minutes to get through, hitting 2 hit balls, And so it was just a constant barrage of really, really, really good stuff. And one of the main takeaways for me coming from our discussion was just movement off the ball. So we focused on the right side, how to be a good right side player. And this, it's a term in basketball called off the ball pressure, off the ball movement. And so he kind of converted that to pickleball a little bit. Mm-hmm. So just a couple of specific places to not be hitting the ball, but applying pressure and making yourself involved in the point without hitting anything is on thirds. So if your partner's hitting the third, applying pressure there, but not just, you hear what, I guess, in addition to that is, yes, you can apply pressure in that situation, but you also need to be a little more, what's it called? Predictive, when you're trying to guess what's going to happen. I forget the word.
Anticipate better?
Anticipation. Being more anticipating better. I think the typical thing that I had followed and I had learned as I was developing my game is watch and see a little bit on the third. So if you're my partner, I wait till you hit your third. If it's a good one, then I apply pressure. If it's not, then I stay back. I think that's the common. But he was like, you need to anticipate more. Yep. So if your serve's good, you see the return come in. If it looks like it's going to be a short return, before your partner ever hits the ball, go up and apply pressure. Either squeeze middle, move forward, go further, make your presence known, give them less options. And so being more just anticipating better in those scenarios, I thought that was really good. there was so many points where I would just let my partner take the third and then I would analyze and do something. Very rarely was I applying pressure, but you have to be smart and make those decisions. And he always would say, sometimes you'll anticipate and you'll be where you're supposed to be, but you may get in trouble. Maybe your partner has a high third and crushes you. And he says, you got to look at your decisions outside of the outcome. Don't look at the outcome. Look at your decision. Was it a sound decision? Yes or no? That's how you know if you moved right, not if you lost the point.
Got it.
So look at those decisions afterwards based on, the decision you made with the information you knew, not so much on the outcome, which was another cool thing I think a way to kind of frame when you watch, you're doing video analysis of yourself. Anyway, so and also, I mean, there's always so much at play, right? You have to know the skill level of your partner. How consistent are they on their drives or drops, and understanding that element to it. And so taking all that to account, anticipating and applying pressure where it makes sense, rather than just wait and see. So that was one element. The other place you can apply pressure, wrote them down so I don't forget them, is fourths. So think you hit a drive, you hit a return, you're both at the net, and then you're waiting for their third. Usually you have one person up, the other person's running up, right? So if you're the person that's already at the net, squeezing middle a little more and just taking away options from the people in front of you, especially as a right-sider. I think the old thinking for right-side play, it was a little more passive, guard your line, let the person on the left take more court. But that's been shifting.
Yeah.
And the person on the right can take more room, can squeeze more, apply more pressure when they're not hitting the ball. And so fourth is a good place where you kind of protect your opponent, apply some pressure, take some options away from your opponents hitting their thirds. And then just dinking positioning is another place where you can add pressure when you're not hitting the ball. So if your partner is in a cross-court battle, squeezing middle, look for opportunities to lean in and flick some stuff off the backhand in the middle. Kyle was really big on looking for opportunities to take stuff out of the middle with your backhand, particularly flicks, because you can just create angles that the person on the left can't. And if you watch players, people who are kind of championing this new way of right side play is you have Dylan Frazier, you have Tardio,
Gabe,
probably the most aggressive on the right as far as taking up space and taking shots. And so I think that's the big takeaway is you can add pressure even when you're not hitting the ball. Think about where your positioning is, where you can just be a presence on the court, even if you're not hitting the ball. Any thoughts on that?
No, it's huge. And I actually try to implement that a lot. Like even when I play with you, because you're usually pretty consistent with your thirds, I'll go running towards the net before you hit the ball, just because people are like, oh, like people aren't ready for that. And it throws them off guard when you're applying pressure so quickly. Because the old school way of was always, wait and see, do we run? Do we take two steps? Do we do? But yeah, I'm a fan, especially once you get to a certain level where you are somewhat confident in your partner. And again, like he said, you're not always going to be right. But no, I love that. That's like one of my favorite things to do.
It's really good. Awesome.
Good tip.
Kyle's Corner brought to you by Slice. Look what I just bought.
Oh, did you get a custom one?
I bought a custom one.
Ooh, let's see. Oh, let's go to the big one.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Put it in front of your face.
Get a PE tattoo. No, I love that you can customize all of and they'll do anything. Like if you can think it, they can make it happen. Like I had the 007, I had like a martini glass. Pickleball Will has like a little cartoon guy.
You can send in your artwork
and they'll make it happen. This looks really clean too.
Yeah, it looks sweet, huh?
Yeah, you should carry that on your store.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about Slice is the ability to customize their Slice caps if you want to go check that out. And again, we've harped on the benefits of that end cap weighting.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to apologize. I don't have a lot of bullets. I have a lot of life stuff going on. Those of you that I do talk to know that I'm going through a divorce. Just so you know, 0 out of 10 recommend. Next week I'll have more bullets. So mostly everything I'm going to talk about is local today. So Eagle, Idaho, it's got a Lifetime Fitness coming. They announced their pricing.
What is it?
So it's going to be $199 per month this is phase 1. So this is just like pickleball. And then it's going to go up once they add in like the gym and the pools and stuff.
That seems expensive.
Is very steep. So you guys that play at Lifetime, is that like normal? Because I feel like that's very steep for our market. Yeah. I don't know how that's going to do.
Especially if it's just pickleball. So the flying pickle where we play, the most expensive one is around
130?
130 maybe.
I think. But that's the most expensive model. Like you can get, I think you can get it down to
even if we're wrong and it was 150, that's still $50 cheaper.
Yeah. And they do have they do have a couples membership, which is $300. So at least that's $150 each. So that kind of makes sense, especially if you can just like say you're a couple and you'll actually have to be a couple. Like it's like your mixed partner and share membership.
You went through a divorce, you're gonna have to find someone.
Looking for new mixed doubles partners.
We could be a couple, Kyle.
We could be a couple. I'm down with that. And then another local thing, and also if you're a brand that watches this, we have a NAMI tournament, which is was it National Association Mental Illness, that a girl puts on every year. It's coming up. It's basically to bring awareness to mental health issues. She lost her brother to suicide, and it goes on every year. It's a very big tournament that goes really well. She's still looking for sponsors. So if there's any brands that want to sponsor, please reach out to me or Braydon, and we'll get you in contact with her. And if you're local, sign up for it. It's always very fun.
This one is fun. It's an MLP style event.
MLP style. They'll do men's one day and mix the other day.
Yeah. It's not just mixing genders. They have men's, women's, and mixed, which is fun. I think if you do an actual MLP event, it's only the mixed. Yeah,
it goes well every year, and a lot of teams are more. There is some very competitive teams, but then there's also teams that are just there to have fun because the cause. Yeah. So I wanted to plug that,
and that's such a great format for something like this event. Even general events, I like the MLP style one. It moves things along. It's the rally scoring, which is nice.
Yeah,
you get little breaks in between. Yep. And I don't know. Team events are just
It was fun when they first created the tournament. We did like play testing at Manitou with like the rally scoring to see, because it was all about timing. And it's just wild like how all the timing still ends up working out if you guys all do rally scoring.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy to me that because when you play side out scoring, like a game can go forever.
Yeah, I can.
So, but that's my plug for that. Flying Pickle has another location opening in Nampa that got announced. So I don't remember if I said that last week or not.
Well, you weren't on it last week.
Oh, you're right. It's true. So that'll be very nice.
So Nampa is where I live. I'm in Nampa. You're in Meridian.
Yep.
And then the Flying Pickle is in Meridian. That's about a 25-minute drive for me.
Okay.
So this new one actually isn't crazy closer.
Did you look at where it's actually being built?
15, 20-ish.
Oh, okay.
But it'll still be closer and way easier for my wife and I to go run numbers. So I'm really excited about the Nampa location.
So they're full-blown moving locations. Also, if you're interested in a franchise, they're doing franchises.
Yeah, I did an interview with Paul.
Did you?
I haven't posted
the
video, but we talked about franchising, and yeah,
I'll tell you,
they're open for it.
I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about, but one of our viewers got a franchise.
Oh, very cool.
So I don't know if we're alled to talk about it, but it'll be going.
Why do you say I don't know if we're alled to talk about it, but then you talk about it?
Like, I don't know. Are you allowed to talk about that?
Does that make it okay to
one of our viewers had messaged me, and they got a franchise, and I think it's going to be in like Tennessee or something. So I guess I didn't sign an NDA, but I don't know how much we're supposed to talk about that stuff.
Anyways,
pretty cool.
Super pumped about them. It's really cool what they've built.
Yeah,
they
quick.
Built, I mean, it's coming up on 2 years, I think, for the Flying Pickle.
Well, no, no, not even yet. We're at about a year. No, we just
year and a half-ish.
A year and 3 months.
We've done 2 winters.
We're at a year and like 4 months.
We're just finishing our second winter.
So
yeah, it's such a smart model. Anyways, when I post that video with Paul, he talks about why he built the facility the way he did, how many courts they use, and how they think it's an advantage where he thinks he can go plug this formula, this franchise, whatever,
all over
playbook next to any other location or any other type of business model.
Okay.
And he thinks he can win.
Nice.
They built this knowing that in the future it's going to be saturated eventually, and they're going to have to be better than who's next to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they think they can do it. And I believe it.
It is one of the nice. It's the nicest facility I've been to that's indoors so far.
Yeah.
So sweet. That's all I have for Kyle's Corner. I'll have more next week.
All right. Paddle, Babble, and Gear brought to you by ADV. They have two pickleball bags. They have a big one, their pro version. This is their backpack. I've still been using this.
Yes, this is my go-to. This is the best one. The big one's too big for me.
Yeah, the big one is very big. I would definitely recommend this one over. But I've been traveling with this, so I checked this in a couple times, and it held up well. It did get like dirty on the front, right? Okay. And I wiped it off. Looks pretty sharp, but
it fits really nicely in like the regional planes overheads. It still fits good.
Yeah, it fits that way too. I just had so many bags, But yeah, I was first time really traveling it and kind of putting it through the durability paces, and it's held up really well. But yeah, highlight for me is this thing just holds everything and isn't too big. It has the separate paddle pocket in the back, plus all the accessory pockets.
I like that top pocket that folds down.
You can put a ton of stuff in there.
I put a lot of cool stuff in there.
And when you're traveling, it's nice having that really easy access pocket for your wallet and passport or whatever.
For your China trip?
Yeah, I'll probably be taking that to China if that happens. But yeah, go check out ADV Bags. Big fan of them, what they're doing. They also have some stuff in the works I'm excited about. We'll be talking more in the future. But I'll put a code you can use, or I'll put a link in the description. You can use the code PB Effect to get a discount on it, and it brings it just over $200. So it's not, it doesn't, like, the price feels good for what you get for sure, especially quality wise. It's really good materials. Okay, we got a bunch of stuff in Paddle Babble here. So I want to first talk about the panel between the brands USAP and PPA. Then I'll talk about the panel John and I did, and then I'll finish talking about. I want to talk about the Gearbox, the new Gearbox GX2 is a little bit, correct some of the stuff we made from a couple of weeks ago. Talk about the Thrive Smoke. Talk about the new Selkirk Luxx coming, and then I'll have some dates for all the upcoming paddles. So first, talking about the panel with Gearbox, you had Raphael. I've been interfacing with Raphael more lately, and I really like. Not only is he really smart, but you could tell he genuinely cares about the sport, wants to progress it, and will, like, the fact that he's flying into Florida to be in this panel, and he was at the media day at USAP. Yep. He wants to be involved and make sure things are done right. Doesn't feel like he's just in it for Gearbox. He's in it for Pickleball. And anyways, been impressed with him. Yola was there, so Gordon was their representative.
Okay.
Then Tom Barnes from Selkirk, who's their R&D lead, was there. And then you had UPA, so Jason Aspis was on the forum, and then they had Carl from USAP up there. Carl. Okay. This got kind of contentious.
I bet.
So it was moderated by Nick, Reload Nick.
He's the moderator?
He was the moderator.
Oh, nice.
I was actually really impressed. I was a little nervous with Nick because he is not afraid to ask the tough questions and be controversial. But I was really impressed with Nick, how he moderated, kept the conversation, cut off, ended, tangents, moved on. But he did ask the tough questions, which I really appreciated. These are the stuff people are thinking about but don't know the answers to. Yeah. And really impressed with Nick and how he managed it. I'm cutting in here. This is just a piece I recorded after Kyle and I recorded our pod this morning. I wanted to redo this section. I think this panel was really interesting, but also has some sensitive subjects, and it can be hard to talk about these subjects just off the cuff like I do on a podcast. And I don't think I didn't say everything I wanted to say. And so I took some notes down here so that I can kind of follow this little outline of my thoughts from that panel and make sure you guys get the information correctly as I experienced it. So the first half of the conversation were all topics that Kyle and I have discussed on this pod before. So things about UPA pricing, the quality of testing, and the implementation of these new standards. These are all things that Kyle and I have talked about before, and I think we can agree that UPA certification is expensive, and the implementation of new rules hasn't been perfect by either groups, and that testing wasn't ideal at first, but has come a long way. Nothing new here about some of the challenges between brands and the governing bodies in regards to those topics. But the second half of the conversation, this panel, was a new topic that I thought was interesting. So there was some discussion on the roles of these two different governing bodies, so UPA and USAP. UPA-A has been saying that they manage the pro game, right? Or manage the paddle regulations for the brands that are willing to pay their fees and participate in their league. So I believe there's 35 brands that they manage. And so with UPA-A taking or claiming that role, USAP has kind of assumed this role of managing the amateur paddle testing, I guess you could say. And so with those claimed roles, Nick and Tom Barnes from Selkirk were questioning UPA-A and their specific role, saying, here you are claiming that you only manage the pro game, yet you allow Yola to create two paddles. They have a USAP and UPA dual certified paddle, and then a UPA only paddle. And they're allowed to sell that UPA only paddle to the market, even though that paddle is meant to be only for the pro game, right? The reason this is a concern for them is because UPA has different rules for grit allowance, so they allow their paddles to be a little bit grittier than the USAP models. And so Yola, in this instance, created a USAP and UPA dual certified paddle that has a smoother surface than the UPA only one. That's the only difference between the two paddles. So with these two paddles going to market, whether, the grittier paddle is probably going to be sold more, whether or not, grit wears out eventually, and it's the first thing to kind of go on a paddle, but regardless, people are going to buy the grittier one because they're attracted to that and they want as much spin as they can get out of the box. And while spin isn't everything that goes into, while grit isn't everything that goes into how a paddle produces spin, if you do have two paddles that are the same other than the grit level, the grittier paddle is going to give you a little bit more spin. Anyway, with Yola doing that, they're saying, okay, whether you meant to or not, by allowing them to sell these UPA only paddles, you are affecting the amateur game and the amateur play, and there could potentially be, an advantage for using UPA only paddles versus the USAP paddles. And so that was, one point they brought up, and then they also brought up and said, okay, hey, UPA, you guys have said you want to be a nonprofit before, yet your for-profit status and some other decisions you're making kind of say otherwise. And so ultimately, I felt like Nick and Tom were questioning what UPA's ultimate goals were versus what their claimed goals were. And, essentially, asking UPA-A, are you actually here to only do these rules or these paddle regulations for the pros, or is this ultimately an amateur play? Because if this is an amateur play, we have concerns about that because you are a for-profit organization and you seem to have different interests at the heart of your organization versus USAP being a nonprofit and just there to kind of grow the sport. And so, and not having, profit motives per se. And, the answer from Jason was a little bit confusing. And I'm not sure if they totally thought through the ramifications of allowing people to sell UPA only paddles. And, maybe this wasn't an amateur play by them, but it kind of seems like it from the perspective of these other brands. And then with this being the case, it could give these 35 brands that work with UPA-A this, commercialization or this, advantage where they can have grittier paddles. And, whether that really makes a huge difference in the performance or not, people are going to be attracted to that. And then this is kind of this turns into this money play where if you want to compete in the market, you have to work with BPA to get, these different rules and different grit allowances. And so I think that was this kind of eye-opening question for me on, what really is the goal of UPA-A, whether or not it was to truly be in the pro game only, or if there is a down the line bigger, objective that they're trying, to hide. I don't want to say I agree with one way or the other, but there were some, compelling arguments from Nick and Tom, and UPA-A. I think we'll see how they respond from this panel. It's very possible that they did not intend to make their badge or their UPA seal more commercially attractive than USAP's initially, but whether or not they intended to, that's kind of what it's, what it could turn into and what these, Selkirk and other brands are worried about and conscious about. So that was an interesting topic. Anyways, this will be something to follow. We'll see how UPA responds, but I'll leave it at that for now. I'll leave my judgment of that later as we kind of get more information and see how that develops. But those were the topics of that discussion. I hope that they release the video recording for that panel soon. I know RacketX did record it. If they ever do, I'll make sure to send that out in my various channels so that everyone can watch that and just watch that conversation firsthand, because it was really interesting. I think it's worth a watch for anyone that is interested in that stuff. So back to regular programming on the pod. But this bleeds into the conversation John and I had in our panel. So we met with the guys of PPL. John had originally, PPL is the testing lab for UPA.
UPA, yep.
John had originally invited PPL and USAP, but only PPL wanted to be on it. I don't know if he didn't hear back from them or if they said we don't want to. I don't know the details there, but we ended up only talking with PPL. So the topic of our panel was the current state of paddle testing. So we went through their methodology, why they do things the way they do. And the big takeaway for me and kind of realization I had in this discussion with them is I feel like the testing is in good hands generally. These guys that are working for PPL are actually pretty sharp. They have people who have done this before for baseball. It seems like they've made the correct adaptions for the PB core, and they're very open about this is where we are now. We realize it's not perfect. We're going to keep researching and just refining everything until we get it right where we want. And there's this, anyways, it seems like it's in capable hands. But the tricky part is, as I kind of alluded to earlier from the previous panel, is the implementation of stuff and the organizational side of bringing these to the market. So they're in this catch-22 scenario where we need these rules now. We have the curb power now. We need to address degrade to benefit and all these things, right? But the research takes time. In order for them to get the answers they need to make the proper tests for, understanding and curbing the degrade to benefit, the destructive testing appropriately. They're like, it's going to take us minimal a year to get that right. We'd wish we had longer, and it's very complicated. These tests that they're running, and the research just takes a lot of time. And so we're in this scenario where they need time to do the research to get the proper standards, but we need the standards now. And so they're implementing standards kind of as they come, and you can't win. USAP and PPL, they're just in this impossible scenario where they're trying to get it right while releasing, things they learn as they go. And it's this moving target for brands, right? And so it's tough, right? Like if I go make a Gen 3 style paddle today, maybe a year from now, those get banned. And if I am in deep in inventory there, you're just toast.
I was to say, and I think like we're, in terms of years, pickleball is still very much in its infancy. I'm sure that like baseball, when baseball was created, had these similar issues.
It was the same.
That's what I mean. I'm sure but we don't think about it because some of these sports are hundreds of years old. Pickleball in its current state is pretty much an infant. Like, it's still early.
One of the guys on our panel who advises for PPL was a baseball guy who was part of the organizations that managed that transition to new testing. And it took them a long time to roll it out. I don't remember the time frame, but it was years. And so I think I've been overly critical of these parties saying, we need stuff now. Like we got to protect the game. But it's much more complicated than it sounds.
Give it to us right now.
You're right. And
I sympathize a little bit with the testing people, but it is like affecting people's livelihood, like with like the chorus fire delisting and like that kind of stuff. Like if this is happening because your stuff's not right, you're like affecting somebody's ability to feed their children. Which so like that bugs me.
There's a lot of there's a lot at stake, and I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm also saying
they're trying.
they're trying, but it's tough. It's a tough spot of doing the research plus implementing new learnings. And anyways, that was kind of my takeaways from that conversation. But a couple cool things that are coming from the PPL lab that they brought up in the panel. So one is called the accelerated break-in or ABI machine. So I talked about this on the last pod with John, where we were going into this event thinking we were giving them some paddles. We'd run the numbers before and after this break-in machine and get an idea of it. But they didn't have the machine in time. I guess it's still a few weeks away, so we didn't get to run that test like we wanted.
Is it so Theragun building it? Is it?
No, it's this company called ADC.
Okay,
that's building all our machines.
So what's it going to do?
So it's some type of roller. I needed to see it. I don't have any pictures.
Okay.
I want to watch a video of just it being done, but it's some type of roller that compresses, and I can't explain it to you.
Okay.
But the idea of it is accelerated break-in.
Got it.
Then you can test the power and core, PB core before and after, and then they'll establish thresholds. But in this scenario, like with this machine, I mean, they're not going to just implement this immediately. They're getting the machine and then they're going to run tests. Okay, how much do we compress? How do we use this? You have to do so much research across different paddle types and making sure that they get the system set up where they're not breaking the paddle, but they're literally just making the materials seem used enough where there could be a change in performance, right? And then deciding, okay, what is the allowable, degrade or whatever. And anyways, that research needs to be done, but they have a machine coming to start fine tuning and working on that. So I'm really excited about that because I think from the amateur perspective, this is the most important thing that anybody could do.
This will influence your like if you want to buy it or not.
Influence if you want to buy it or not, but it also protects the game better than anything else. Because if you have some sort of accelerated break-in as part of your paddle testing, we've harped on this before, right? Just how important that is. But it's funny enough, it's coming from the PPL side and not the USAP side. So if PPL is really this, pro only game or entity, then is that even going to be useful for us? Yeah, I don't know. And then this was another interesting thing that they brought up. So PPL is working on another machine. They're calling right now. They call it their go no go machine. It's basically a portable deflection test. Okay, that's cheaper. So Flying Pickle could buy it, and it's just like really it's really user friendly. You essentially just push a button, it tells you, it gives you red light, green light. If it's
so you can just run
deflection.
You can just take all the paddles being played with in the tournament, run it through.
Exactly.
That's actually really
cool. Or
cool.
if things get challenged, you can go run it through.
So that's PPL making that's them making money. That's smart though.
That's PPL making money. That's not UPA-A making money.
And that's actually genius. I actually really like that.
Yeah, I thought it was really smart. And I love that this is another play at like protecting amateur play because you could use this in so many scenarios, tournaments, clubs, and it would. I think most serious clubs would 1,000% buy that. Yeah, because of the money tournaments we have locally and people arguing over like, oh, your paddles are laminated. Like I've seen it the last couple times at like Moneyballs, people like arguing over whether their paddle was delaminated or not. So that would fix all of that. And I bet we only see a portion of those. Like I bet Paul at Flying Pickle has to deal with that every day. Yeah, I'm sure people complain all the time. Yeah. So having that machine at the club level would be huge, and I thought it was brilliant. So we talked about that. We're like, okay, well, how do you set a threshold that because deflection doesn't always correlate with the PB core number. Yeah. They said that's not a direct correlation, but there is a level of deflection where you can, highly confidently say this is broken. It's going to be bad, yeah. And so it's probably a little more, leans towards the air of, a little too much leeway because they want it to be certain on the green light. So it has to be pretty broken in order for it to go red light, I would imagine. Okay. I don't know what that threshold is, but they said it'll probably lean more towards the cautious side. Well, if PPL needs beta testers. Yeah. And so the ABI machine and the go no-go machine are both plays that are going to protect the amateur side potentially. That's cool. I don't know. Maybe they figure out the ABI machine and then sell it to USAP or something. But I'm really excited about those two developments. That's cool. I like that. All right. This one's fun. Paddles. Okay, Gearbox corrections. So 2 weeks ago, we had talked about some of the technology that Gearbox is doing with their GX2 series. Yeah. That's this paddle here. So at the time, I did not have pricing. I didn't know what they were going to charge for this. We had assumed maybe 100, 150 because, like, to our defense, because of the naming, their budget line is G2. Yeah. So GX2 seems like a budget line thing, right? Like G Extreme 2. Like that was logical. Yeah, no. No, and honestly, like, no offense to Gearbox, like, it looks like it would be their budget paddle. Yeah. Like all their budget paddles have the edge guard, right? But they, anyways, this is not a budget paddle. This will be, is it 260? The same price as their Ultimates. Yeah. But they will have discount codes available for these. So it will be a little cheaper, around 250 compared to 270 or whatever. Got it. So correction, not a budget paddle. That's that. Okay. You don't have this yet. Which one? The GX2s?
No.
Take that one home with you.
Gearbox still hasn't messaged me back.
I want you to play it because I played with this again the other day. I have it weighted here.
Okay.
I have 0.5 gram from the side. It's just above the corner all the way through the handle. Just hoping that adding some weight would improve the feedback for me. And dude,
not feeling it.
It's not too often where I would just want to set a paddle down.
Yeah.
Like I was just spraying it. I was playing good people.
Yeah.
And so that's when I stress a paddle the most.
Oh yeah.
And
when you get under pressure,
I would just randomly pop stuff up. I just could not get a good sense for it. And I was very frustrated, but there's like a reviewer chat on Discord. They're talking about this, and a lot of those guys are liking this paddle. Yeah. And so I don't know. It always makes me question. I'm like, oh man, am I getting this right or wrong?
Am I broken?
And so I want you to go play with it, get your thoughts.
I'll play with it on Friday.
I've also been playing with the Integra, so it's gonna be available in 3 shapes. They have the elongated Integra, and then their Hyper. The Hyper is the wide body. The other guys have been harping mostly on or praising the Hyper. Mm-hmm. So maybe the Hyper plays different than this, but to me, it's just so muted that I don't have a sense of where it's going. Is what I think is happening.
Okay.
But I have a hard time playing this one.
I'll test it.
So I need more opinions. I want to get your opinion, and I need to go hand this around to some folks. I had mentioned I need to do that, and I haven't done that yet. But we still have some time before these are released. But I want to get some multiple opinions because I'm getting mixed signals with what other guys are experiencing it and how I'm experiencing it, and I want to get this one right because the technology behind this is very cool. I legitimately think what they're doing with their core, being the carbon, the ribs, is the most durable construction you're going to run into. Foam, I think, is a step in the right direction in durability, though it has different challenges of honeycomb. What they're doing is the real deal durability wise. Mm-hmm. And Gearbox is very patent. They have tons of patents.
Lots of them, yeah.
And so all this stuff is really protected. And so it could be really cool for them if this takes off and everything's patent, nobody can copy them. But sometimes I wonder if having the patents hurts them because it can't get adopted by other brands. Sometimes a good technology happens and then the rest of the market copies, and it's kind of a sign of validates your technology, and people know you were the first. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I can see it both ways, but I actually agree with that too, because especially in pickleball, just with how things move, like somebody like the diving board core, like that came out and then everybody was copying it. So like obviously everybody's agreeing that that's the way we should be going.
Right.
But then I do think the patent does protect you. And I know Rafa's like, they design all of this. I don't think a lot of the R&D is done like at the factory, like through like China is coming up with this stuff. I don't think that's the case at all with Gearbox. So I do understand why he's pushing patents a lot.
Yeah, their paddles are very unique.
And they always have been. Like since they hit the market, they've been unique.
Yep. Let's talk Thrive Smoke. I saw you hitting this one last week.
I did. I played it all week. I was sad. This S that's on here, I still think they should have done the like 90s S that where you did like the lines. And do you ever do that?
The Superman kind of S.
Yeah. That would have been like that. Like that was a missed opportunity.
You think so?
I don't know. I think it'd have been funny.
I don't know if I'm sold on that idea, Kyle. The S does look like a restaurant.
It is smoky. It's kind of like it was a weird S. I'm like they should have done something a little different. But
okay. Construction wise, 14 millimeters.
14.5.
14.5.
Yeah.
It is thermoformed and then has wide 10 millimeter cells is how they made this. And then stats wise, it has a higher swing weight, which some people have been.
It's probably why I liked it.
What was it? Have been critical of.
121?
So mine was 119.
119, okay.
Swing weight, and then twist weight was just above 6 at 6.14. So it has a higher like swing weight to twist weight ratio that isn't always like on paper it doesn't look fantastic, but the twist weight of 6.14 is actually decent for thinner core elongated paddles. What were your thoughts on this?
I actually really liked it. I thought at the net it was very strong. I felt like I got a decent amount of power from the baseline. Nothing crazy. I wouldn't call it like a tier 1 power paddle from the baseline.
But I would call it a power paddle.
I would call it a power paddle, but it wasn't like...
Yeah, more of that kind of 11.624 power
range.
Yeah,
no, exactly. Like the lower end of when you're getting in the power. I thought it played really well. I liked it a lot more because the last Thrive paddle I hit really was the Azul.
How'd you feel about the stability of it?
It didn't feel. I mean, I probably made a mistake and put weight on it right before I even used it. So I did put 3 grams on each side.
Okay.
So I probably treated it up a little bit, but it was pretty stable once I had weight on it. I probably should have tried it totally stock though.
No, that's fine.
But
yeah, so yeah, good performance thoughts. I thought that fell right in line with where I was kind of that lower tier power paddle. The swing weight of 120, it does feel a little heavier. It doesn't feel like obnoxiously heavy.
yeah,
though it is on the heavier side. Yeah, I could feel some twisting stability. I just played it stock, but it wasn't horrible. I think it's playable if you're a better player, but it's not this oversized sweet spot. The thing that gets kind of tricky for me is, okay, this is 119 out of the box. And if I do want to customize and add some weight, especially on elongated, any weight you add is going to make the swing weight bump more than like a hybrid or a wide body. So if you do want to true up that sweet spot, it's going to get pretty heavy.
Yeah.
If you I think it's going to be better out of the box with minimal weight to get kind of its best performance. And if you do have this high of a swing weight, I would hope for a little better twist weight out of the box. So the twist weight is a little bit lower. And like I said, like the sweet spots, it could be manageable, but it's certainly not oversized. It's more of I think more of an advanced player play.
Oh, definitely.
The big question though is, okay, this retails for $220, discount right around $200. You have 11.624 powers at 180. Do you get this over an 11.624? The power pop numbers are pretty similar with the elongated versus this one. What do you think?
I think it depends on what brand. I think at that point when it's that close, you just go with what brand you like. I don't think you can go wrong really with either one.
I mean, if you look at the numbers though, for the Huarache X 11.624 power, it's a lighter swing weight at 117. It has a better twist weight at 6.4. And it's cheaper.
I mean, the real answer is you actually just go vapor power, but
yeah. And to me, like, while I didn't think it was like a bad paddle per se, it's tough to recommend this over an 11.624 power, one for price. And I do think the general performance of the 11.624 is more friendly and easier to. I think it performs a little better.
Do you know what the layup is?
Oh yeah, so they're doing 5 layers on each side.
I bet you that's
why fiberglass in the middle.
I bet you that's why it's a little heavier.
Yeah, probably. And so I feel like this is a tough sell over the 11.624 because they are in that same power range.
Yeah, they're kind of
maybe you go to this if you want a 14 or if you want a thinner over like that lower launch angle. That's kind of the only scenario that I think I would go with this over the 11.624. But in most cases, I just don't see this beating out the 11.624. Plus, you got the shape options for the 11.624
and the color gradient.
Which is
that's in
sales,
now. Everybody. 2025 is the year.
But
of color gradient.
not to like knock down how it plays. I just think when you compare it to the market, it's a little bit of a tough sell for me when you just compare it directly. I think 11.624 is kind of the power paddle to beat at the moment.
Yeah,
and it's
like price for performance, absolutely.
Yeah, and so. I mean, even just performance-wise, I think I would take the Huarache over that just because I like the extra stability and lighter weight.
Would you take it over a Pro 4?
I mean, if you bring Pro 4 in, now we have 2 different kind of categories. You have like big power in the Pro 4 and then the little smaller power. And so that's not like a direct correlation.
Yeah,
it depends what you're looking for. Whereas this, I think, is more of a direct correlation.
Yeah, no, that's true.
11.624s. Like they're direct competitors. That's thoughts on smoke.
I'm excited for this next paddle, even though Instagram's flaming me. It's the first time I've said I'm excited about a paddle from this company.
All right. Selkirk Luxx update. So we just got emails. We both got these in the mail. The changes they made from the previous is the InfiniGrit. So they have InfiniGrit instead of...
It does feel very gritty too.
Yeah. And then they changed the hole a little bit. It's got the 007 hole. It went from 20 millimeters to 19 millimeters. Then they added EVA foam down here. I have not hit this. I just got this.
Did they copy the TFP? Like, does it look? Have you seen what it looks like?
No, I haven't X-rayed it yet.
Okay.
As far as from their explanation, it just sounded like this bottom quarter is EVA foam.
Okay.
Yeah, this comes out later. I'll give dates.
Have you got a chance to hit it yet?
No, I just got them, but I wanted. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I wanted to talk InfiniGrit. Have you hit it yet?
No, I just got them yesterday. So I'm going to hit them on Friday too.
All right, let's talk InfiniGrit for a sec. So is InfiniGrit legit? Not too many people have really talked about this yet. And so I'll show you what numbers I do have. So when the 007 came out, I gave one to Joe. Joe was playing that paddle. He liked it. I was like, Joe, go play with this so I can get some numbers. And so I got the initial spin values for the 007 I gave him. They were 2005 RPMs.
Okay.
I retested the numbers a month later.
Okay.
After about 30 hours of play. This test wasn't perfect because he doesn't know exactly what he tested. Plus, Joe's an instructor.
I'll say.
And so he has hours on top of his play.
Yep.
But he's not stressing the ball as much.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say exactly, okay, how much time was on it. So this will give us an idea of InfiniGrit, though I do want to rerun a test that's a little more controlled with this before I do a review on it. But with that first month of play, so playing, we estimated around 30 hours of play plus
per week.
Per month.
Oh,
this was for a month. And then whatever his teaching hours is, which I guess
30 hours per week would be insane.
Could be another 30, 50 hours because that's like his job.
Yeah.
So 30 hours a month, that equates to about four sessions a week for about 2 hours per session. So this is a heavy user, right? Yeah. I don't even play 4 times a week very often. That's a lot. So numbers dropped from 2005 to 1811. So it dropped 194 RPMs, which is about a 10% drop.
It's pretty big.
I mean, it's pretty big, but for how much time he put on it, that's not horrible.
I know. I feel like we now have to run
on a
paddle that doesn't have InfiniGrit.
Yeah, so we need to do
we need to do a side by side with the Luxx and the old Luxx, which that's easy because we can get a hold of an old Luxx.
Old Luxx plus just a carbon fiber paddle.
Yeah.
So I actually did give a carbon fiber paddle to somebody else, a brand new one, but they weren't as consistent as Joe and didn't put as many hours on it. So like comparing them side by side was just it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I did try to do that, but I need to be more on that. Anyways, 10% drop in that first month. Okay, and then I tested again a month later. So this was again another 30 hours plus that, and then it dropped from 1811 to 1689, which is 123 RPMs, which is about a 7% increase. So a less drop, which makes sense, right? You're going to lose that initial roughness.
Yeah.
And you're just going to drop more. And then after that, it's going to drop a little bit less. And again, that's a lot of hours. This is 2 months into it. We've gone from 2005 to about 1700. And just based off of empirical testing I've done on paddles where I just go rerun the test, not knowing exactly how many hours. A raw carbon fiber, if one's around 2000, it's going to fall between the 1600s, 1700s after, it's been used quite a bit. So, which is right where this is.
Yeah.
And so they claim InfiniGrit is 3 times raw carbon. I don't think I've seen any data from them for that.
Yeah, they're just marketing.
They just market it, which is probably is that illegal? Could you just say that?
I've seen some wild claims in pickleball.
They can't be legal. Anyways, that's their claim, is that it's 3 times. I don't think it's 3 times, but based off of this little sample size, it actually seems promising.
Yeah.
I don't think you should just write off InfiniGrit.
Honestly, if it's as good as carbon fiber, it's fine with me. That's my only, again, Facebook or Instagram got mad at me, but my main issue with the Luxx is I could play this for 2 weeks and this would be baby smooth, especially if I'm playing outside where it's not super clean on the courts. That paint grit wears off so fast.
So yeah, this kind of imperfect test I think is promising.
Yeah.
If I had to take a guess, I would say equal or close to raw carbon fiber. I would not say 2x or of course not 3x, but it's definitely could be equal. But we'll have to do some more comprehensive testing on that later. Okay, let me pull up dates. All right, these are just upcoming paddle releases. So the Project 008 and 10 millimeter, which is the play for the 008 foam paddles. I gave my 10 millimeter to Joe, the same guy that was playing that one. I looked so hard for that 007 he gave me. I could not find it. I checked all myself because I wanted to feel it.
Yeah.
And if I remember feeling it, I didn't remember feeling the baby smoothness.
Yeah.
There was still a little something there, even after all these hours. And so
You can't find the paddle?
I couldn't find the paddle. I got to keep searching.
I lost a paddle this last week too. I don't know where my Carbon True Foam 2 is. Like
No.
I moved. I'm looking.
I think you gave that to somebody.
No, I didn't.
I was talking to somebody. I was like, hey, why don't you get that Carbon 2? They're like, got it from Kyle.
Did I give it to somebody?
Yeah. I think you like sold it to somebody.
I didn't sell. No, I didn't sell it.
Dude.
No, I didn't though.
I'm pretty sure somebody told me.
I promise you I didn't. I was like looking everywhere for it.
Maybe somebody was borrowed it.
So,
I'm pretty sure that was a conversation I had.
Oh, maybe I did. I do give people paddles though. Some like
I forget.
I always give Keith a paddle because he's like shows up and he's got like duct tape holding his paddle together. I'm like, take this, please.
Anyways, somebody might have your Carbon too. Okay, but anyways, Project Zero's Weight and the 10 milliliter is coming April 3rd. Engage Innovations are coming April 10th. The Gearbox GX2s we talked about are launching early April, just in their Integra and elongated, and then a month later they're going to launch the Hyper. That's that. Yola Pro IV shapes, the other than the Perseus, are expected to ship April 15th.
Scorpius.
We don't have those yet.
I know.
Hopefully we get those soon. Bread and Butter Filth is expanding their line from just elongated to have a hybrid and wide body. So they'll have all three of that. That's going to come late April. They didn't change. They changed the look of it, but the same design.
Same construction. Just
expanding that line, which I thought was great. And then the Selkirk Luxx Control Air update is coming May 22nd. All right, Q&A. We've got 4 questions. This first one's from Adam. I think this came from an email. He says, most pros use elongated. If I want to become the best player possible, should I stick with elongated, assuming he's going to get really good? What's your answer?
I mean, do you think Anna Bright stinks? I don't know.
Do you think Anna Lee stinks?
That's what I mean. I still think it's personal preference, and I think a majority of the pros that still are attracted to their tennis shaped-ish paddle. And we just saw James Ignanovich come out and say that it makes like the normal shape, so basically a wide body, essentially plays better.
Except he still plays elongated paddles.
Yeah,
so
but is that because of who?
I question that statement from him.
Is it because of his contract though? We'll
No.
see. All right.
No, there's a square in the Selkirk.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
This Power Air.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays the Power Air.
You want to take bets on whether he switches brands and then switches shapes?
Yeah. How much you want to do?
Let's go $25.
$25. I say he stays elongated.
Okay.
And you say?
I say he goes to a different shape once he goes to another brand.
All right.
Okay.
Pinky swear.
Seal
it with a thumb.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think finding a shape is a very personal choice. I don't think one shape in particular is going to take you to the next level, but I do think getting matched to the correct shape will help propel your game forward. And so it's finding what that shape is for you. For me, it's wide bodies and hybrids. I think my personal opinion is for the majority of players, it's going to be one of those two shapes, but I don't want to rule out elongated for some people.
I still play better with elongated, even though I try not to.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Well, there you go. So elongated is
it's probably because I got short T-Rex arms. I don't know. I need that extra like half inch.
Yeah. So I think it's less of a question, is elongated better, and more of getting fitted to the correct shape that works for you. Next question. I have no idea how to say this name. Uniulatiane.
I'm waiting for somebody to give us a name that like makes us say something hilarious on the pod. That'd be good.
Is the Vapor Power harsh or nice on the arm/elbow?
I would say it was nice.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any harshness.
I think, it has a little hollower feel to it, but generally I
wasn't getting big vibrations. No.
I think the benefit of that foam around the edge is reduced vibrations.
Yeah.
And it's not a super heavy paddle, so I would say no on that.
I'd say you're good to go.
Just Diaz 7548 said, how would you compare the Agassi and Graph to the Pro IV? I can answer this one. So that they play very similar. Yeah. The Graph and Agassi is just a little bit heavier, like physically heavier. It has a little better twist weight, a little better plow through, just like maybe 1 or 2 swing points higher, if I remember correctly. It's mostly a weight difference than like a performance difference. Mm-hmm. And so if you're playing with the Pro an elongated shape and you're okay with, the weight of that, 118 plus.
Yeah.
And you want Agassi's name or Graph's name on it, just get the Agassi.
And if you didn't know, to clarify again, the Agassi and the Graph and the Pro 4s are the same paddle.
Same technology.
Yeah, same technology in the paddle, yeah.
Little different head shape.
Yeah.
Last question is from Maddie Rutt. What paddle or paddles walks the line between all court and power paddles in your mind? So for me, I said Carbon True Foam, Technofiber TF Select, Engage Pursuit Pro ones, and then like the 6.0 Black Diamond are the ones that are flirting with that line between all court and power. And then like just a step above that, or like bottom tier. I don't like saying bottom tier, like they're not as good, but just lower power tier power paddles. You got like the Spartus Olympus 11624 power that fall into that. The Thrive Smoke.
I was going to say the Thrive Smoke could go in there.
Do you have any other paddles come to mind to you?
No, I think you nailed all the ones I would have said too. I was just going to say to add that Thrive Smoke in there for sure. That's a pretty good list though.
Yeah, that when I think of that all court pushing power, those are some examples. That's kind of the range I've found works best well for me.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for us.
That's it. Thanks for watching.
Later.